I realized when I was getting stuff together for tonight, I don't usually share new things anymore. I feel like I don't trust them anymore. So I wanted to challenge myself tonight, and I decided to try doing newer stuff. So they're kind of like just little snippets. The first one I'm going to read is called Dear Reader, which isn't by any means a new concept in poetry. A poem kind of addressing the relationship between a writer and a reader. I discovered this idea, or didn't discover this idea, but what prompted this poem was a poem called Dear Reader by Dean Young that was on a poetry podcast from the Poetry Foundation. You can see his poem on the Poetry Foundation if you type in Dean Young or Dear Reader, whichever one of those you remember. And it's interesting because, like, you know, it is a complicated relationship. You know, the idea that you are composing something that someone is going to consume is a really privileged kind of stance to take, or position to be in, to think that people are going to want to read you. So it is a very complex relationship. And also, I was also thinking about, I wrote this around the time that, like, the Weinstein thing came out, and, like, all the problematic positions that men can be in when they take up space, especially when they're abusing their space that they have, and their podiums that they have. But before I say anything else that Weinstein could sue me for, because this goes up on the internet. Weinstein, fucker. Dear Reader, my shortfalls are foul wind and occasional inward violence, but they are only, hopefully, dust piles you can sidestep. If you see a penny within, my oh my, feel free to root it out and check the date of its mint, but this may scatter the gathered dust. How much time of effort, if any, do you wish to waste, oh so carefully sweeping to check no dust was missed in all this? There are other dirtier houses. How about we shed ourselves of any connection to this mess, leave so somebody else can clean it, no? If poetry is responsibility, there are too many abominations about. I have been building my connection to everything I want to tell somebody. Winds are dying as we speak. If violence is said to be waning, we're hopefully a generation away. Will I sidestep what I've built up to? This one is longer. I'm going to test drive this tonight. It's what I hope is the beginning of actually what's going to be even longer than this, but it's kind of a return to the Haibun form that I want to take a little bit more seriously. And more seriously in terms of, you know, what it was originally meant to be, which was like a travel narrative and a travel journal, but also infused with what I first found the Haibun to be, which was Fred Waugh's This Dendrite Map, which was a poem about his parents. So this is called Gravenhurst. Smog is the ceiling as I'm traveling up Highway 17, and no one knows that I'm here. Just another mid-sized car with a single passenger looking beyond the road ahead and wondering when we will be more overgrown than the trees. This road leads to Renfrew, and best case scenario, I'll learn something about myself. No Jake breaks, 2 twos or too deep. Here is our imagination peaked. I think of little when I think of Renfrew, mostly a stopping point on the drive from Ottawa to visit my maternal grandparents in Midhurst, Ontario. Yet, two biographers accredit a bit more to Renfrew's significance, if only in the life of the delinquent poet W.H. Davies. In March 1899, Davies, dreaming of finding fortune in the Klondike, lost his aspiration and his footing jumping freight in Renfrew, getting his foot caught and crushed under the wheels of a train. His leg later had to be amputated below the knee. He'd admit this took the wildness out of him. Slip, chug, and slugged under, a danger of trusting a body over mechanical plunder. My grandpa will often break into old folk songs and little ditties like, "Hallelujah, I'm a bum. Hallelujah, bum again. Hallelujah, give us a handout," and he'll trail off without completing the melody. A whispering tree will send chills through the air, shivering dark clouds. Which feels first the road would put the road gal, or is that a trick and the man was at fault from the beginning? No dancing to be found in leaving a mark of this permanence, scarring the landscape on which I wish to travel. It's a while before Highway 28. And I'm seeing signs for Stone Road and Pike Lake like we want to have some memory of what we have lived to destroy. Our overuse of the environment, like the world around us, has been created to cater to our comfort. Let's not let the stones tell us where to walk. Let's not let the pike live while we grow hungry. I'm on my way to visit my paternal grandmother's grave, and soon I'll reach Hastings Highlands, where the GPS in my SUV will show the paved road and plowed road that I'm on is also known as Wilderness Way. Constant Creek doesn't babble, too busy sounding hopeful. I don't know why I did this. I put I just on a page by itself. I've passed through Purdy in the tiniest for the cemetery, and Pretty Lame is a dirt road. It's midday on a Monday. Most houses I'm passing have smoke coming from the chimneys, indicating an abode's present occupation. Someone is comfortable and warm. They might be working. They might be thinking that they have a lot of work to do. They might be looking out the window at a car driving by, moralizing the assumed motivation of the car's occupants' travel. They might be sitting back and relaxing. A snowflake's work starts with its crystallization, ends with runoff melt. I'm the youngest son of the youngest son of a youngest son. With the string unwound that far back, it disappears into an explanation of why my family has unknotted from my mother's outgoing, close-knit relations. My dad's mother knit for me rarely. She baked, laughed innocently at my adolescent selection of movies. My mom's father is alive for country road driving. He'd say, turning corners on winding roads, you should always prepare to meet someone coming the other way. Turning on Essenville line, the grandparents' grave I'm approaching, and the grandparents' advice on my mind are incongruous. Out of nowhere, I'm a sum of less than two parts, a motto with an odd genesis. An archaic origin, cachet, Wilberforce be with you, unearthing a town. There was a man fishing outside of the township of Algonquin Highlands. It's only 5 degrees Celsius, and he has on a hat with ear flaps. I also should have been counting how many cemeteries I've passed. The small towns with only a couple of gravestones, the bigger collections beside larger churches. These places have histories, but I wonder how white, how natural, how obstructive. Loggers and miners and railway line workers carved out over years. Lakes older, trees older. I'm just going to end with one final poem of the night. It's a cover poem, actually, by Justin Millian, and it's called Thank You. Good night.